Down there. Okay. So we shall quickly go through these sections of the listening test before we proceed to the reading. Alright, in listening test, Gina, can I hear myself, please? Just slightly. In listening test, there are 4 sections. Now, the 4 sections treat different issues or different kinds of communications. Let's say, for instance, section 1 focuses mainly on dialogues. So, if I ask, what does dialogue mean? What do you think dialogue actually means? It means what?
Communication.
Between who?
Individuals.
Okay. That's an open response. Alright, so dialogue is a conversation between 2 persons or 2 parties. Alright? So dialogue is a conversation or communication between 2 persons or 2 parties. Some definitions will say between 2 or more persons. Now, in the listening test, it is important to understand that sections 1 and 2 always treat societal issues. They are always talking about societal issues, either about accommodation or taking part in an excursion or assuming or taking up a voluntary job kind of, or the person wants to know about travel schedule, the person wants to find out about the cost of certain items, so it depends. But generally, sections 1 and 2 are always about society, whereas sections 3 and 4 are often talking about academic related issues. Okay, please, if you're viewing from the YouTube platform, kindly like this video, and if you have friends that would like to join, please share the link to them. Thank you. Now let's go back to section 1. Over 70% of the listening test, section 1, is usually dialogue via telephone call. Someone would phone in either to report a situation or lodge a complaint or make inquiries. And during this conversation, during their dialogue, these are potential answers. These are things that you should look out for as regards answers. So this is one major thing you hold on to as you continue with your practice. Please understand that name is a potential answer. Name. That's why when you go through, when you practice, you realize that some questions or some listening test exercises would have name written as a part of what you should provide as your answer. And in most cases, answer to number 1. So if the name is required to be part of your answers, on your question booklet, a name will be written for you. Then there would be dash after that first name. So what you'll be required to do would be to write the missing name. Of course, that missing name will be given to you by the audio. So in most cases, someone would phone in, and then in the course of the conversation, the receiver of the call would want to get some information about the person. And of course, if the person is saying or giving his or her name, the part that's already written on the question paper would also be said or given. And then the missing part would thereafter be given out. And when the name is given, you are required to write. But there is something that happens if that name is not a strange name, then there won't be any need to spell it. It will be assumed that you should know and spell. But if the name is an unfamiliar name, especially if it's not even an English name, definitely it will be spelled. So when the spelling is going on, you are meant to write very quickly. If you miss a letter from the spelling, then that's your answer will be incorrect. Then let's go to the second one. This is a telephone. If telephone is required to be a part of your answers, it will be called out very quickly. So you're meant to write out the digits of the telephone number as the caller is given his or her phone number. If you miss a digit, that phone number becomes incorrect. Also, it is important for you to understand that when telephone number is required to be a part of your answers, most times on the question paper, the first 4 digits or 5 digits of the telephone number would be written or may be written on the question paper. And then when the person giving out the telephone number begins, you realize or you may notice that the first 4 or 5 digits will be called out at the same time. So those who are tensed, those who do not know or who are not careful may end up writing those digits that are already on the question paper as a part of their answers. And this will make the answer incorrect because as a test taker, your task is to write information or provide information that are not written on the question, or you are meant to choose the correct option from the list of options given. So please, when telephone numbers are called out, be sure to confirm that there are no parts of the phone number already established on the question paper. If there are, please be careful not to write those ones that are already on the question paper, because if you are tensed, you may not realize that the caller is also calling the digits that are already on the question paper. Now let's go to address. If address is required to be a part of your answers, then on the question paper, definitely there would be the address clearly written. So, but a part or some part of the address may be omitted. So what you'll be required to do is, you may either be required to write the street name or the street number. You may be required to write either the street name or the street number. So whichever it is that you are expected to write, the audio would give that to you. Please ensure to write appropriately. Now, date of birth. If date of birth is required to be part of your answers, please understand to apply the bracket trick. Understand that you need to apply the bracket trick when you're writing the date of birth, because in most cases the examiner or the caller would give his or her date of birth and tell you something like, okay, I was born on August the 6th. August the 6th. If you write August the 6th as your answer, it may be very incorrect. Because in most cases, section 1 instruction is always requiring one word answer. So if you write August the 6th, that means you've written 2 words and a number. So automatically, your answer will be incorrect. So you have to apply the bracket trick. And for bracket trick, if the audio says August the 6th, you are to write August, then 6, then in bracket put TH as suffix to the 6. August 6, then in bracket TH as suffix to the 6. So you are having August 6th. You didn't get that right. I said write August, then 6, then suffix th, which will be left in bracket. This is what you have to write. August 6. Okay, so this is how to manage your date of birth. But if the day is to come first, it will be 6th August. But the primary thing right here is the suffix is to be left in bracket.
Is it for one word?
Yes. This is one word. This is the only word here. This is a number. Okay. The next is nationality. If nationality is required to be a part of your answers, you'll have to listen attentively and provide the name of the country. And when you're writing a person's nationality, the spelling is usually different from the name of the country. So, for instance, a person can travel to Canada. The spelling is Canada. But a national of Canada cannot be called Canada. You call them Canadian, right? So you have to understand the difference between the country and between how to write country and how to write the nationality. There are several countries and the spellings of their nationalities may differ. So you have to build your vocabulary on nationalities because you never can tell where the caller that will be calling would identify to be his or her nationality. Next, let's look at interest. The caller may be required to express his or her interest. Maybe the person wants to take part in a particular excursion that's been planned or arranged for. Or the person wants to inquire about accommodation or enrolling in a particular program or taking up a temporary job, whatever it is. So the person's interest will be expressed. If it's required to be a part of the answer, please write. Then duration, how long is it supposed to last? For duration, sometimes paraphrasing may play out. So if the person says 4 weeks and the receiver of the call says a month, you have to identify the form your answer should come. So it's the question that will give you that signal if your answer should be in weeks or in months. Then cost. If the person wants to take up a temporary job, the person might get the information about the stipends that will be given to the person on a monthly basis. If the person is interested in a particular product, the person wants to buy something that will be a part of a particular program, and payment is meant to be made, the person will be told the financial implications. So when you're writing money, we also remember how to apply. Remember to apply the bracket trick. Know when to apply the currency symbol and when not to apply it at all. So bracket trick would have to play out. Then the next is the previous portfolio. If the person wants to be a part of, or the person wants to be a tour guide, the organizers may want to know if the person has taken up such roles previously. So that would be a part of your answers. Then email, if email is required to be part of your answer, then it will be called out just the same way telephone numbers were called out. So you have to write as quickly as the caller is giving all of those information. Okay, next we shall go to section 2. Section 2, we are looking at monologue. What are monologues? What are monologues? Do you have an idea what monologues are?
It's a conversation that has to do with one person.
Conversation.
or in talk.
Because when you say conversation, so it's more like the practice of one person giving a talk or making a presentation or delivering a speech, but there must be an audience. There must be an audience. That's when monologue is said to be performed or carried out. Now, section 2, we are looking at noun or nouns. So we know that nouns are naming words, right? Name of the person, name of the place, name of an animal, or name of a thing. So when the monologue opens up, you will have to listen to know what it is. Whether it's a scientist or a researcher, or a virus or a disease outbreak, or an invention or innovation, or a particular animal, or a particular culture, or a particular environment. So you have to listen and get that from the person giving the monologue. Now, as the monologue goes on as well, they will have to talk about the location of what this person, or what this thing, or what this animal, or what the culture is all about. It will bring in a particular location. Then it will also talk about what it is about that particular thing, the issue. So what the issue is will be expressed. Whether it's a pandemic or whatever it is, it's going to be exposed. So you have to listen and write. Now, what brought about that particular thing? That's the cause. What brought about it? So you have to listen and pay keen attention and get the answers right. Then what impact has it made, either to the people or to the society at large? That's the effect. It could be positive, it could be negative. So you have to listen to know what exactly it is that the impact has brought about. Then the quantity, how many persons were affected, or how many persons fell victim, or how many people will benefit from it. Quantity. So you should listen to get all of that information. And what's the financial cost or implication? Perhaps how much it will cost each person to afford such innovation or invention, or how much it will cost the government to combat the situation to the barest minimum. You will have to listen and get that information as well. Then let's look at special features. Special features here, if it is an invention or innovation, or if it is a particular disease or virus, or if it is a particular animal that has been talked about, there will be features about it. Even if it's culture that has been talked about, there are certain characteristics or features about that particular thing. So if it's supposed to be a part of your answers, please pay attention and provide what it is that is missing. Now let's go to MCQs. MCQs are multiple choice questions. In listening test, you will always find multiple choice questions. I mean, those sections where you have to choose from the list of options given, A, B, C, D. In some cases, you may be required to choose any 2 or any 3 correct answers from the list of options given. So it just depends. Now, how do we get the MCQs correctly? It would interest you to note that multiple choice questions are often discussed. All the options, you will get to hear all the options in the audio. It's not like the audio will only concentrate on the correct ones. No. It talks about both the required ones and the wrong information. So those who are always very quick to choosing an answer, if you hear the first one, which the audio will begin with automatically, you would rush and write. And then a day for the listening test, I do not really know what where the recording stopped because I saw that it has stopped. But let me just run through this. Let me assume from section 3 to section 4. Don't worry, I'll just be very quick. So in section 3, you have to listen to the name of the discussants, which are often discussed or exposed at the point of the opening of that particular section. The audio may introduce the names of the discussants, and you have to listen and get their names. At this point, it may not be an answer, but as you proceed in the listening test, you realize that it is important. It will help you to get some answers. So, but if the audio does not introduce or expose the names of the discussants, when the discussion opens up in earnest, they will exchange pleasantries among themselves and address each other by their names. The issue of discourse, they would announce what they have gathered or assembled to talk about. So you have to pay attention. Then target audience, they want to establish the people that they should go to get the information they need. Then where would they meet the people? Location, a particular point that is most favorable to them, where such age bracket of people usually go to. Maybe ShopRite, for instance. You realize that for people who like to buy certain gadgets, they prefer to go to certain location. So they would want to look at such environments as the best place for them to leverage to get what they want. Then cost implication. Now they want to look at the logistics that will take them to and fro to that particular location. So they mention the amount. Please pay attention and know what to write. Individual view. And when you were able, if you are able to get the names of the discussants at this point, you'll be able to know who is saying what. So from the list of options they are given, the options will have the different names. So from the knowledge of the people, of the names of discussants you've had previously, it will be easier for you to identify the person giving the view. The unanimous view has to do with their collective agreement. And after that, what is the reason for, or what brought about these their decisions and actions? And what impact will it make? And then how many people are involved? Or what's the quantity of what has been produced? So it's about quantity. You have to listen to the number. Then solution. What is the way out after gathering all this data or information? They want to finalize on the best approach of actually giving out the information they have gathered. Then I said for section 4, it could be a monologue, it could be a dialogue, it can as well be a group discussion, whichever it is. You have to apply this same approach to solving section 4. Please, I said that section 4 is usually quite lengthy and very fast. Questions usually run, or audio usually takes you through 31 to 40. So you are strongly advised to reserve enough energy for section 4. The best way to manage section 4 is to read, when the author says, first you have some time to read questions 31 to 40. The best approach to take is reading questions 36 to 40. So that by the time you are approaching 40, you notice that the audio now wants to begin. It is easier for you to rush back to 31 and you'll be able to manage the first 5 questions. But if you choose to read from 31 to 40 within the short period you'll be given, by the time you start approaching question 35, the audio is about to begin. So you have no iota of idea of what goes on around here. Because at this point, you are still going back to 31. By the time you begin solving 31 to 35, you might start feeling exhausted. And then when you get 36 to 40, you might get lost. Or you get bored. So this is how to manage the last section, which is usually quite fast. So at this point, this is where we'll draw the curtain on listening test sections 1 to 4. So if you have any question, please, this is the best time to ask. Do you have any question? All right, so thank you so much.